Hi Philip, I hope you can hear me okay. So I'm going to just quickly run through this and review it on video because I find it's probably easier if we can actually look at it while I'm talking rather than me writing things and then you having to go back and find the place in the article where we're talking about. So let's go ahead with it this way today and we'll see how we get on with videos. Okay, so the headline here is fine. It's a pretty good headline. The intro has the right emotion, but maybe doesn't get it across hard and concise enough. Like where you have 3 paragraphs here before getting off to say, I'm off to Cyprus. I think part of the problem is that you're going to lose people who, for example, are not sitting in the office watching it rain. So it really depends, if you're writing this purely for a UK audience, like you were writing for a UK travel agent and everyone who's reading this is likely to be reading it from the UK, then yeah, the pelting down is definitely true. Temperatures dropping below 15 in the middle of July, yep, seen it. If you're writing in Switzerland, if you're writing anywhere in Northern Europe, this could be true. But if you're publishing on Medium and people all over the world will read it, then this is not necessarily quite how to get hold of the mind and heart of that audience. So yes, a lot of them probably are sitting in offices. A lot of them probably are weary, but they're not all watching it rain. They might even all be sick of freak weather one way or another. But some of them are living in maybe somewhere like Israel and are actually not bothered about the temperatures in Cyprus so much as the experience. Does that make sense? Want to get away from it all? Yes, that applies to everybody. Elated? Yes. Survived months in a place you don't want to be? Again, this is how you feel about it maybe, and it's how some of the people reading this will feel about it, but you need to think about the fact that your audience will include people who are looking forward to a quiet break in Cyprus after surviving months doing a job they love in a place they absolutely want to be. A treasured break doesn't necessarily mean that people hate where they are. This is perfect. Getting off the plane, you're ecstatic, you're about to discover new places, find hidden beaches, embark on an adventure, but wherever you go, you keep bumping into hordes of tourists. That's perfect. Makes you want to talk on the big white telephone. That's going to confuse a lot of people. Slang's awesome, but sometimes you have to explain it for those people who don't know what it means already. So, in this instance, you might just want to change that to it makes you want to throw up into your hat or whatever. Or just, it makes you want to scream, where can I find a spot that isn't already taken? This part here, I feel you, let me show you, that's brilliant. Where to tan on your own, we're talking about tanning. A lot of people, although they love to visit the beach, are not actually there to tan. Like they're covering themselves in Factor 50 and they're hiding under parasols and stuff. So, where to find beautiful, peaceful, quiet beaches, something along those lines. Pick one adjective, don't use 3 or 4. The and what to experience is kind of vague. Like, is Philip saying what to experience when you're tanning on your own? Is he saying what to experience in Cyprus in general? I would just make this headline about where to find peaceful, uncluttered beaches. The issue I see with the photo, thinking about it now that I'm looking at it, is that I can't tell which of these beaches is which of the ones that you've written about. So this might have actually worked better as individual photos with a bit of text added over the top that says, this is the coast between Ayathekla Beach and Potamos. And yeah, so I would actually do that as 4 separate photos, and I would label each photo with where it is. What you have to think about is whether or not the article will actually be helpful, and whether the images in the article will be helpful to someone who wants to find these places and visit them. So, you could even include a link to a Google Maps spot so that people can actually find it on a map. The actual descriptions of the beaches seem fine. Let's see. Yep, all of the description of the beaches looks okay to me. Oh yeah, you've talked about maps.me here, so you could possibly include maps.me links in that case. Okay, so where you talk about your scooter, for people who don't want to ride a scooter to get there, it would be more helpful if you actually provided them with alternatives. So you can say, yes, I took my scooter and this nightmare happened to me, but if you want to get a bus, you can get it from here. If you want a taxi, catch one from this area, it'll cost you this much. Okay, we've veered off into an extensive story about your scooter now. While the story is interesting, I would make it more concise and fit it into just 1 or 2 paragraphs. In general, the descriptions of the places seem fine. The headline here, I think, for this section could be slightly more indicative of what you're going to talk about. So, the headline could be as simple as where to visit Aphrodite's birthplace and discover the secret of eternal youth, or something like that. Again, the what to conclude, when you tag these things like what to explore, what to conclude on the end, they don't really help to give a sense of what's coming, unless they are about the same thing as what came before the end. So I would leave those out of your headlines. You can keep the content inside the paragraphs, but putting them inside the section headings doesn't really help anyone that much, I don't think. And yeah, we're back to the scooter. Let's not have quite so much about the scooter, because most of the people visiting aren't going to have your scooter issues. Hearing about them in detail isn't helpful to them. Yeah, less of the scooter, and in this section about Aphrodite's rock, I think we've overextended one place that they can visit far further than what, the amount of coverage we gave to these others. And you're talking about a variety of places, you have to try and give each of them roughly equal coverage, unless one of them is, enormous and the others are tiny things that you can visit in half an hour. It makes sense to give all of them a photo, a description, a map link, etc. equally, rather than to devote a lot of time to talking about one particular thing like this. I'm not sure that life is a risk is the thought that you want to leave people with, when what you started out with was how to get off the beaten track and talking about nice quiet beaches and so on. So you may have had some adventures and risks with your scooter, but I think most people are actually aiming for a bit of an adventure without real risk. So you could probably just cut everything here from adventures to life is a risk out, and start with Cyprus offers so much more than wedding pictures and tanning. I think go ahead and book your next flight to Cyprus. If you're not actually using this article to promote flight booking, is a strange CTA to give people. It would be more like, are you poised to venture out? Go ahead and visit Cyprus. You'll get your money's worth, or something like that. It's go ahead and book your next flight to Cyprus. People are going to kind of almost expect that to be linked to something for flight bookings. So it really depends where this is going to be published. If you're sending it out to people who arrange flight bookings, then yep, you can highlight that and say this is where you could have a link to your Cyprus bookings. If you were going to sell it to somebody that's actually running hotels in Cyprus, you would want to adjust it to go ahead and, book your accommodation in Cyprus. The other thing is, if you really want to get claps, and that's what you're thinking about when you're looking on Medium, rather than shares or comments or whatever, then if you were publishing this on Medium, I would specifically say, if you like this, please clap so that I know to write more about this topic, kind of thing. Again, with the got questions or need to discuss your project, you need to be clear that you're talking to people who own businesses that need blogging or writing in general about travel. And yep, that's it.